Hi, everybody. Let's see if you can hear me, see me. My gosh, it was just such an incredible day. And I know I say that every day because every day is such an incredible day. You just can't even believe it. I woke up this morning, absolutely riveted to the TV. I don't watch much TV. But of course, President Trump there at Quantico, that was just absolutely amazing. And then he gets on his helicopter, goes back to the White House, and has the meeting about with the Pfizer CEO. And then that he doesn't stop there. Then he goes and um, signs an executive order for AI to be used to help childhood cancer, right? And then it goes on and on and on and on and on. He's just amazing to watch. And of course, we pray for him and his health, just going and going and going. And um, to make this country great again, to make our country great again. You have to respect President Trump for his energy level, his fight, and never giving up. And he's really a true inspiration. Whether you like him or not, he's a true inspiration to keep going, to never give up, to fight, for this country, and we've been put through a ringer. And I don't even think that a lot of people realize, um, how 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 infiltrated, how what President Trump is up against. I don't think that many people know. And I'm so glad that he became president. That means that even with all of the uh, interferences, he overwhelmingly won the mandate. Overwhelmingly, in all the categories, won the mandate. So that tells you that the media is not trustworthy, right? That's what you can, and that the American people get that. So um, anyway, let's see if everything's going. Thank you so much, Christine, for coming on. Good evening to you. Um, what do we think about? And I'm going to try to do this by heart, but this is a government shutdown. We're in a government shutdown right now. Um, and for our family, we're very happy to hear that because um, and I know, and the thing is we've been through it. We have been absolutely through it. Government shutdown before, and we know exactly what it's like. Rob, of course, was furloughed. I think it was for months, a couple months. He was furloughed. Um, when uh, when he was doing some work after his retirement for the federal government. Um, if people don't know, my husband is a retired physician assistant, 30-year veteran in the Army, went in as an E3 and worked his way up, became uh, a physician assistant. And at that time, years ago, like that, he was a warrant officer. At that time, physician assistants were warrant officer. When he went into the Army, he knew that's what he wanted to be, even though he had a biology degree from Florida State University, and could have went into officer training, but chose wanted to be a PA. He really liked that. He thought that would be a good lifestyle, and he was right. He was right. It was a absolutely wonderful lifestyle, because when he became a perfusionist, um, uh, that was, gosh, let me tell you, he did that for 5 years and went back to being a PA for the lifestyle, I mean, money's not everything, right? Money's not everything, and when you go in at, like, 4 o'clock in the morning, I kid you not, at Walter Reed Army Medical Center there in Washington, DC, um, and, you don't get home until 8, 9 o'clock at night. Um, the perfusionist, it's a fascinating job, super fascinating job, but just no lifestyle, right? And you can make a lot of money doing it, but no lifestyle, no family life. So he came home one day and he said, "If I could give you one wish, what would it be?" And because I'm very close to my German grandmother, and she was getting older. I said that you got orders to Germany. He goes, "You've got it." I said, "What do you mean? You have to be a perfusionist?" He goes, "No, I'm going to be the Fifth Corps PA." So there we went. He went back to being a PA for Fifth Corps, and we went to Heidelberg, Germany, and that's where, of course, we decided. With our two daughters, to adopt our two sons, Robert and Richard. Um, so yeah, just a little family information there. Um, but it is um, kind of a long story how he ended up doing some work for the federal government and got well, there was a government shutdown, and so he was furloughed. And of course, we have 4 children, and they were young at the time. Um, and you live through it, and right now, for our family, and where our hearts are with everybody that has to go through the uncertainty of um, a job loss and furlough, and um, but I think that the those in Washington, D.C. love federal government so much. I don't think you have to worry so hard. That's just speaking out of the experience. I don't think so. I don't think you have to wait too long, and then of course they'll want to pay you back. They'll pay, you know. So we'll see how. I don't want to say I know I have some kind of looking glass ball in front of me that I can tell you what's going to happen, but I know that the Washington D.C. loves federal government. Okay, so what does this mean to us? Um, well, the Democrats shut it down because of their greed, right? Because of their greed, they have constituents that are very demanding, and the Republicans were not going to meet those demands, and of course, so this is kind of political. And so they shut it down. The Democrats shut it down. They didn't want to vote for the CR. That would give them, I think, 60 more days, to work it out. And for us, I think this is needed, because we um, have been driven into an investigation into our son's murder. Um, through the CID and through the command telling us that they wouldn't investigate what happened to our son. We would have to do that, and we would have to bring them leads, or they couldn't help us at all. So that's what they told us, and so we got busy. We got busy investigating, and we've been investigating for 5 years, um, and so much has happened. So much has happened. So much has been exposed. And one major fact that has been exposed is that the federal government has some real traitors, and those traitors that are very deceptive, are full of fraud, waste, and abuse, full of fraud, waste, and abuse through government contracts or with the criminal trafficking. Uh, Very bad actors participate in the criminal trafficking anything that's not bolted down. And I'm serious, and maybe even that too. And that's including children. Fort Bliss has thousands and thousands of children that are um, really in the under the care of the CYS. Of course, the parents care, but Fort Bliss has a child youth services. Ann Ogle. We know that Ann Ogle is up to no good and part of the Mormon faction with DES Thomas Kane. And up to no good. I mean, really up to no good. And when you have these traitors, these treasonous traitors, and they are conspiring to exploit the system as much as they can while they are committing crimes, right? And also derelict in their duty, right? Absolutely betraying their duty, betraying their duty as CYS, uh, betraying their duty as the director of emergency services, and absolutely acting. Um, when you are um, conspiring against young volunteer sons and daughters that are soldiers in the barracks to bring in substances that could kill them, to bring in young girls to compromise them and film them, to cover up the worst type of crimes of criminal trafficking and violence, um, breach the security of a military installation, which is a huge risk to national security. And I think it's even more. I think they breached national security. Uh, and then you have generals that are participating in this, like Clem Coward, like Sean Bernabe, like the current commander, Curtis Taylor, James Eisenhower, McConnell. When you have the IG, the Army IG participate in it, that's Donna Martin, right? Who was the provost marshal at the time, participate in this kind of crime and cover up. And what are they covering up? Of course, the retaliation and the murder of our son, but also the stealing of his remains. His remains were stolen. His remains were dismembered. Um, they were trafficked for profit. For profit. The VA is a real mess. The VA is a real mess. There's so much that is federal, um, that are full of traitors, fraud, waste, and abuse. Um, and this is the greatest opportunity. And, knowing Russell Voigt, I hope I'm saying his name right, Voigt, um, of the OMB, knowing him and knowing President Trump, I don't think that they are going to miss this opportunity. I don't think that they are going to be moved by gnashing of the teeth and crying. I don't think they are. I think they've seen enough and heard enough, crying and tears, and seen enough of the very violent crimes, and even been on the receiving end, as President Trump has, of collusion and conspiracy to destroy him, his family, his administration, the United States of America, you name it, he has seen it. Um, you know, it's very, very clear that I think that they are very directed in their mission. And this opportunity, I don't think is going to be passed by. I think that they're going to start cutting. It's called a RIF, a reduction in forces. And I think they're going to start cutting because it's so bloated. Of course, our generals, and they met with the generals this morning, and he said if he doesn't like them, if he doesn't like what he sees, he's going to fire them. And I think that behind the scenes of the meeting, because of what Secretary of the War Hegseth spoke in his speech. I think that those speeches behind the scenes, I think other messages were also given, right? Other additional messages were given, because I don't think they're fooling around to get all of those flag officers in one area. Uh, is unprecedented. They had more of an intention than just to give them a little speech, right? To give them a speech that they could hear on TV, that they could get in a memo. So, something else was happening there at Quantico, and Quantico has a replica of the Iwo Jima Memorial, and I posted about that today. That my husband, Richard's father, he as a kid, his grandfather, his job was to take care of the grounds of Beacon Rock, the home of the sculptor that created the Iwo Jima Memorial. Um, so when my husband would visit Beacon Rock, which was right beside the Kennedys' place in Rhode Island, I mean, just absolutely look it up. It's so beautiful, so beautiful. They used to run those grounds, and they used to crawl through the Iwo Jima memorial pieces, the molds for those pieces. And of course, the Iwo Jima memorial is courage and sacrifice and the fight, um, esprit de corps spirit, the Medal of Honor ethos. That's what that Marine memorial symbolizes, right? And that's very bittersweet because for us, Quantico represents CID Howell, right? Todd Howell, who came personally to Fort Bliss to receive Richard's file from the traitor, the worst traitor, Sean Bernabe, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. He was given a star for being such a traitor. I hope he gets fired. Hope he gets fired, and then I hope he gets arrested, and I hope he gets indicted. All of that good stuff. Yeah, the order might be out of order, but I hope he gets indicted, and I hope he pays the highest price for what he has done. But he personally handed out Richard's file to Todd Howell. Todd Howell has connections to the prime suspects in Richard's case, the Hart family. He has connections to the VA, right? And to the Hart family, Hawaiian connections to them too. And so this was all a setup. This was all absolutely a cover up of the worst kind. And of course, CID, Todd Howell, we have him on audio. Um, uh, we caught him. We caught him. Um, interfering with our son's case, with tampering with his files, just like CID. Tavita Nusa tampered with Richard's files, interfered with it, leaked the file out. So did Todd Howell, okay, and put people at risk, put um, very important people at great risk. And so they're very criminal. And that's all working its way through the system right now. We are at the Supreme Court level. Um, um, and, this is all preliminary, 5 years of preliminary preparation for our cases, okay, for our cases that we will bring forward. Um, and we always think, okay, next month is the month, but something just incredible comes out, and then we're like, wait a minute, this is so big. This is much bigger than the Iran Contra scandal. Much bigger than the Iran Contra scandal. Looks like child's play in this. So, and then and what is a good example of that? So we have um, this government this government shutdown right after President Trump and Secretary of the Department of War, Pete Hegseth, addressed the very federal flag officers, right, that can absolutely be rifted. Um, so I think that that's going to happen. And then in El Paso, if you look at El Paso, and I hope I can, let's see if I can find the name. I want to get the name of the person that was arrested, Enrique. Enrique is 71 years old. This is kind of breaking news. He was sentenced. Well, he was arrested in 2020, y'all. He was arrested in January of 2020. That tells you something, right? Um, it's interesting if Richard's whistleblowing reports led to his arrest, Enrique's arrest, and it was just yesterday that he was sentenced by Judge Briones, of all people, um, to 20 years in prison. 20 years in prison for the criminal trafficking of children, uh, uh, child sexual exploitation. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on this, um, but he was even paying families to that were desperate. Um, but that goes on a lot in El Paso too. So we have a lot of witness testimony that a lot of parents will sell out their children to be abused. It's kind of, it seems to be like part of this very sick cultish uh, culture, right? This very sick cultish culture. Um, they'll sell out their children and to be abused, and we even see that demonstrated in Lilani Hart's um, confession, right? Notarized affidavit confession, um, because we do know the child that she mentioned. We know who that child is, and who the parents are of that. And, uh, this is the worst type of crime, just the worst type of crime. And she needs to be arrested. And so we're hoping that the new FBI director, um, because John Morales, the SAC John Morales, special agent in charge, SAC Morales for the El Paso field office was let go. Yeah, he's gone, and now we have Jared Brown. Jared Brown is the new SAC officer. Why do you think CPS and the family court will place the children with the wrong abusive parent? Right, exactly. And that's very interesting that you're saying that, because you have, please know, Laura, that if it's the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court, that court, if it is any kind of decision or order from 2015 till now, that court is illegal. Those judges are just rogue. they're imposters. They are not judges. And so if an action happened and a child was put in the home of an abusive parent, the parent that is the caring parent can uh, this might help in their decisions, to say, look, this is a botched court. This is imposter court. And they may be able to take legal action against that. Okay. So we did not intend to expose that. This has to do with our son's case, the criminal law magistrate court, and also the Walmart mass shooting case, which is part of our son's case, are intertwined. The same people involved the Walmart mass shooting is involved in our son's case, up to no good in both cases. And they, Penny Hamilton and others in the criminal law magistrate court are have some key roles in this. And that's why that needed to be investigated. And you would not even believe the shock and to wrap our minds around what was going on, to even accept what we were learning. Because sometimes when you learn something that shocking, that every judge, there's 5 judges, every judge that sits on the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court are imposters, that court is operating illegally, unconstitutionally as is described in the Texas Constitution. And and you question yourself. You're like, how can this be that all these years, all of that, can you imagine all the decisions and everything like that, and the bad decisions, so many bad decisions that they made, and it's all illegal, it's all botched, because they're imposters. And it's hard to accept that, right? It's hard to accept that, much less document it and then file it and put your name on the line reporting it, and then get on live and tell the El Paso community, so many families, so many children involved, so many cases involved, to say, look, the criminal law magistrate court is operating illegally. And they look at you like you're crazy, and you have to take it. You have to take it and say, no, look for yourself. They, since 2015, and why does 2015 matter? Because 2015 is when they were granted by Texas the status of the jurisdiction being the entire county of El Paso. Before then, there was a little part of the county of El Paso that was not in their jurisdiction. And so they could have appointed judges. But when 2015 happened and they were granted complete county-wide jurisdiction, then that put them in a different category. And according to the Texas Constitution, if a court has county-wide jurisdiction, that means they cover the entire county, then those judges must be elected. They must go through an election of the people of the county. That is the law. None of these judges have gone through an election. Therefore, they are imposters. They cannot, any decision they make is illegal. So please tape what I'm saying, record it, and play it over and over again, because it takes a repetition to understand. A complete countywide jurisdiction is under different rules than partial jurisdiction, right? According to the Texas Constitution. So if you have problems like that, yes, then you can absolutely do your studying, and look to see what you can do. Um, it's uh, you've got to grab onto the tools that we have today, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot. So, and I hope that you can do that. But that's where, if you've been treated badly by the criminal law magistrate court in El Paso, that is, uh, that's a little nugget that we can give to you to help you. That truth. And I can tell you this, that so much of what's going on in El Paso is illegal. Just like so they're imposters. The chief of police for the El Paso ISD, he's an imposter. He didn't even have a peacekeeper's um, badge, right? License when he got that job. Uh, the chief medical examiner is illegal and unauthorized. So everything he touches is botched. The DA's office, Bill Hicks, and now James Bonneau Montoya, Mr. 2028 stamp, he is absolutely an imposter. He's a rogue DA. Um, so, you know, and we can go on and on about people that are not authorized, and they're rogue and they're illegal and they're imposters. And so, if you are being treated badly by the government system in El Paso, I think you have some real tools there, some real knowledge that we can share with you that can help you fight for justice, for justice. So, um, yeah, his dad, yeah. Yes, you're very, very welcome. Um, and we didn't mean to find out who the Mayellas were, right? We didn't mean to find out who Nadal Bayim was. Um, and we, never intended to support a government shutdown, but this one we're supporting because right now, under the Trump administration and Russell Voigt and the OMB, um, they have an opportunity, a very rare opportunity, to cut out the treason, out of the bloat, the bloat. Our government's very big. It was never meant to be that way, um, never meant to be that way. But before I talk about that, I wanted to talk about this case, this 71-year-old Enrique Mendez, who got this 20 years. Um, so, 5 years of delay, and finally Judge Briones gives him 20 years in prison. And so this is a rare victory. Um, Briones, of course, is the family that was caught and up to no good by the Poison Ponds FBI investigator agent Julio Cordero. Um, and of course, their family member is also the county clerk, up to no good, Miss 2028 stamp, Delia Briones. Um, so it's interesting because a lot of times these predators, they get off because of the delays and the gag orders and the seal deals, right? The criminals get off because of delay, seal and deal and gag orders. You know, it reminds you of Patrick Crucius and the Walmart mass shooting. And of course, the other shooters, since there's multiple shooters, these delays and the Mayellas and not talking to the Mayellas, not outing the Mayellas, has led to more and more crimes being perpetrated. And so, yeah, this is a real victory to have this predator, this child predator. Um, but what's very interesting is he is also connected to um, the Mormon faction, because he's connected to a couple people that he shared a residence with. One is Thomas Purdy. He um, he was really up to no good, y'all. He's a total predator of young boys. And then, of course, another one, and he was indicted July 25th, 2025. So this year, and they wait so long, and so many people, so many children are hurt. And then this other one was found guilty, pleaded guilty, October 2018, George Soto. I don't know if he's any relation to Marlon Soto Hernandez. I don't know. But, he did share a residence with Enrique Mendez. And I don't know if Enrique is related to Melissa Mendez and the Melendez family, because those names cross over quite a bit, and they're part of this cartel Mormon faction group that's suspects in our son's case. So it was very interesting that he um, 5 years it took to get justice on that, um, this trafficking from the Bridge of Americas, and um, being a predator of children. 5 years, can you believe it? Yeah, it's a disgrace. It really is a disgrace, and it tells you how the system is broken. But I think that this government shutdown, and it might be very, very quick. Who knows? Um, uh, I think it's going to be a good opportunity to cut out the treason. Yeah, get a scalpel, the OMB scalpel, and just cut out the treason of our country. I think that would be very helpful. So that's kind of what is going on. You know, our government was never meant to do what it's doing, right? It's never meant to do that. What a government is supposed to do is punish evil, right? That's what a government is supposed to do. And right now, we've been feeding evil. We've been fertilizing it and letting it grow. That's what we've been doing. A government is supposed to administer true justice, right? And right now, we've had weaponization. A real government is supposed to defend the vulnerable. And in this case that I just read to you, 5 years, that's not defending the vulnerable, y'all. And uh, a real government is supposed to um, promote the rule of law, uh, righteousness, a moral, I would say the esprit de corps of the country, the Medal of Honor ethos of the country. That's what it's supposed to do. And of course, the Bible calls it the fear of God, right? The fear of God, to promote the fear of God. Like rightfully so, right? You don't want to let him down. You don't want to upset him. You don't want to break his laws. This is the fear of God that I'm talking about here. Um, you don't want to allow evil people to do evil things, right? Um, no, what the government is supposed to do is to be a terror to the evildoers, okay? It's supposed to be a terror to them. That's why President Trump says we need to be vicious. And what he means is we need to be vicious to the evildoers, the wrongdoers. That's what he's talking about. And that is very, very right. That's what a government is supposed to do. Um, because you cannot let these people get a hold in your country. And that's what has happened from the previous administration. So, the government is also supposed to avoid any oppression. All these taxes, um, these property taxes and everything, no, that cannot. That's not the job of the government. The other thing that the government is supposed to do is to promote peace. Is to promote peace. You don't want a parent that is going to make the kids fight. Fight for this food, fight for your toys, fight for. No, you're supposed to promote peace. And that's what our government is supposed to do within us is promote peace. And to act, uh, you know, be a good example with wisdom and discernment, be a good example, not be a criminal, right? And I think of so many of our leaders, um, absolutely criminal activity. So no, that's not what the government is supposed to be for. So I think when you know what the government is supposed to do, um, then it helps you in your own battles and yeah, and seeing what needs to be cut out right now with all the fraud, waste, and abuse, the deception, and everything. So it's been a very unbelievable day with uh, all of these actions that have happened. And tomorrow's going to be very well, it's already tomorrow, right? We're at 1 a.m. in the morning. It's going to be very interesting because the government is officially shut down. And, the Democrats, maybe they wanted it that way. I don't know. Um, I don't know. They're just so greedy. Um, but I think President Trump is going to take full advantage and empower Russell Vogt to take a scalpel and cut out the problem areas in our government. So thank you so much. And thank you, Laura, for coming on. And thank you. Thank you so much um, for bringing mental stability to our family. Thank you. Thank you for saying that's the nicest thing. And what a blessing. And we're so happy to hear that. And I'm going to tell my husband what you said. And, because you have brought mental stability to us because it is everybody watching and sharing that brings us hope to get our son's remains home, to get accountability, to know that we're on the right track, and presenting all the evidence that we find, and hoping that people understand it and accept it for what it is, because uh, sometimes it doesn't really go on party lines. I can't say it's just Democrats or just Republicans. I mean, we all know that Governor Greg Abbott is way up to no good with Rick Francis and Woody Hunt and all of that. Um, So, it crosses party lines and everything. And some people don't want to hear that, right? They don't want to hear that. But we're talking about our country. We're talking about having to face even things that we don't want to face. And one thing I can tell you is that we come from victory, and that every step of the way. Um, we can see how the evil has just destroyed themselves. Look at Woody Hunt. El Paso Matters is the one that, was the snake that ate the tail, right? It was his very own organization that exposed the Mayellas. The Mayellas that I think um, it's very serious, y'all. It's very serious. And I think it could really land him in prison, and he's an older man, you know. Um, so that's not good news for him at all. That's not good news at all. But he's been up to no good, and destroyed many a lives. So yeah, the truth has to come out. Thank you so much, and I will absolutely, be back tomorrow, God willing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.